Welcome back to the Pass the Game Challenge. 6 devs must make a video game, but no communication between them is allowed. You never know what might happen. Misunderstandings between the devs is to be expected. Occasionally, crazy rare gems appear. This is the series where some of the weirdest video games are brought to life. We've got flying cloud dragons, family tree simulators, gardening warfare, a bunch of pigs defending their base against Lovecraftian horrors. The list goes on. Each creator gets a few hours, then passes the project on to the next dev in line, and let's just say this will end up as one of the weirdest projects in the series yet. So with that said, let's get cracking, and hey, it's been a while, so I'll be dev number 1. They've been really quite immersed in life drawing this past year, specifically figure drawing and portraits. I thought it could be interesting if you played as a portrait artist encountering strange characters in a dark city. However, rather than the more realistic pencil drawings I've been working on, we're going for something a lot simpler, more cartoony and stylish for this particular project. Each character also has something to say while you sketch. The drawing mechanic itself for now is super simple with a single brushstroke and color, but hopefully future devs can expand on the system and maybe find some way of judging a good drawing from a bad one and pay the player accordingly. So really excited to see where this project goes. It's a really weird one and pretty open-ended. Let's pass it on to the next creator.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe Sullivan. Now that my game Floromancer is out, I'm back to freelance game development. Hit me up at the link below and I'll prototype or make your dream game. Super unique start. I have no idea where this one is going, but I know that it will benefit from expanding the painting system, so that's where I'm going to start. I started by implementing a system to change the colors and size of the brushstrokes, but then I was interrupted by an earthquake. That was spooky. Then I implemented the color controls, added gradients, and brush size. Now there were more options, but it still looked like Microsoft Paint, so I worked on a couple of textures that I could stretch across each brushstroke to give it a more interesting look. Now it's actually looking like paint, and I think an artist could make something really cool with this. Next I made some music. To match the game I made something somber and eerie, but also calm and relaxing. It's still not fully a game yet, but it definitely gives a feeling. I'm extremely curious to see where this one goes. Contact me at the link below for cheap, high-quality game development.
Hey, my name is Michael, also known as Byte of Michael. I make game dev, computer science, productivity, career advice type videos on YouTube, all while working on my indie roguelike deck builder called Castlemancer. Now, Blackthornprod invited me for a second Pass the Game challenge. Despite my obvious lack of talent, general confidence, or both. Anyway, I got the project handoff and first impressions. Oh, thank God, it's a 2D game. The previous challenge was 3D and also my very first time working on an actual 3D game, so 2D is much more my tempo. The first thing I wanted to do was to actually gamify the game. It didn't seem like there was any goal or target, so I added an XP bar that shows your current level. As you create more drawings, you will level up from a novice to the king's personal artist. I even added a little prestige system so that if you pass the max level of 10, then you just continue to progress. Additionally, it needed some system for drawing verification. Now, obviously art is subjective, but originally I could continually give empty drawings to all of the patrons, so I added a system where you had to draw at least a single stroke, and then a formula such that as you draw more strokes, you actually gain more XP, therefore encouraging more elaborate drawings rather than just spamming single lines. Now, I'm not a very good artist, so I wanted an option to help me learn. So I also added a trace mode that essentially overlays the current character on the canvas to help me get better at digital drawing, which I thought was fun. The other key feature I wanted to add was some sort of backstory or context. I created this initial thought bubble at the beginning of the game that tries to establish a backstory while also leaving it open enough for the other devs to fill in. Basically, there's some really depressing event going on, and the player has been hired as a beginner artist to help document it, all in a broadly medieval setting. And lastly, I made the patrons all come up randomly and repeat so that the game is infinitely replayable, plus some bug fixes, and that's about when I ran out of time. I'm super excited to see where the other devs take this. Big thanks to Blackthornprod again for the invite to this Pass the Game challenge. If you like game dev and tech sort of videos, consider checking out my YouTube channel over at Byte of Michael, and wishlist my roguelike game about wizards called Castlemancer over on Steam. Thanks, and see you later.
We've made a completely free game making course that you can check out with the link in the description. It will teach you the incredible Unity game engine by making a stylish city builder, a fast-paced dodging arcade game, and a really cool fireball throwing simulator. So if you've always wanted to make your own video games, if you've been inspired watching these developers cook and feel like, hey, I would also love to make games, then these are your very first steps that you can take right now. The link is in the description, guys, and with that said, let's continue this project. So on to the next dev.
Hey everyone, I'm back for my second challenge. For those who don't know me, I'm a freelance game developer. I've been using Unity for around 15 years now, and here are some of the companies I'm currently working for. The first things I noticed when playing the game is the scene hierarchy is very messy. Organizing the hierarchy is actually a great way to get familiar with the structure of a project. I also added a brush selector that allows you to change the paint stroke used. Now, for the painting layers, I thought of a solution that would both fix it and also add more interesting effects, render textures. But actually, I'm going for something very specific, and that's painting with particles. Here I added a brush with particles. It doesn't really paint, but once I switch the render texture camera to uninitialized, we get this nice painterly stroke to it. All that was left was fix an issue with the paint canvas background and disable the line renderer paint strokes on mouse up. And that's it. With the new paint technique done, I added some brushes with particles. I even combined both particles and line renderers into a single brush, resulting in these interesting effects. I hope the next devs will have more artistic skills than me and will be able to take advantage of this technique to make really cool brushes. So that's it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Lighthoof Dryden. I'm currently working on finishing the game that I was making for the last Blackthornprod competition. It's a Victorian side-scrolling roguelike called Disinherited, and I'm trying to finish it in 100 days and making devlogs every week. Come and check it out. Okay, so right away, I'm loving the painting aspect of this game, but I feel like we need a little bit more of a goal. The XP bar is a good start, but there's more than one way to judge a painting. So I built a system that monitors everything you're doing in your drawing. It tracks stroke count like before, but also the average length of time per stroke, the average width, average opacity, average number of strokes that used gradients, and the number of colors used in the drawing. I also wanted the NPCs to be able to react to you, so I created a request system. Now, when they appear, they randomly choose a style. There are 9 of them right now, and each one has 3 possible intro lines that hint at what they want. Then, I wrote a bunch of response lines that they can use to evaluate your painting. I feel like we're supposed to be drawing the person, but there's no system in place for judging that. So instead, I just created another layer to the request system, where they give you a subject to paint in addition to the style. I put in 65 options to prompt your creativity, and it'd be easy to add so many more. Then I felt like you should be able to immortalize your creations. This took a while to figure out, but eventually I figured out how to make it so that every painting you give is saved as a PNG file. Then, just to add to the surreal vibe, I made this simple shader that can add your paintings to the texture of these humans in the background. Maybe it's too weird, but I think it's kind of fun to influence the world like that, and it makes me want to add a little extra care to each painting. Last, I love the color palette that we have, but it's pretty limited. I replaced the gradient toggle with the ability to just choose 2 colors. And now we have room for 3 times as many options. And finally, I moved the new button because I kept hitting it by accident and deleting my masterpieces.
Guys, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It's a huge support. And now onto the final dev. Hopefully the project stays on track. Hopefully it ends really well.
Hey, I'm Rye, and I guess I'm gonna be finishing this game, which is something that I'm usually not very good at, but don't worry, I got this. First thing I noticed when playing the game is that I'm a little bit dumb. I need a painting that goes with everything. Why don't they like it? I don't understand. I mean, I could tell that the NPCs had parameters they wanted me to meet with their paintings, but I had to look into the code to actually tell what they wanted. So I updated some of their requests and added some negative and positive feedback after you give them the painting. And that'll hopefully give you some pretty obvious hints on what the NPC wants you to do. The second thing I noticed is that there isn't really a goal. I'm just endlessly creating paintings for this ungrateful child who, for some reason, doesn't like any of my paintings. Oh man. Which can get a little frustrating. So I thought, how can I motivate the player to endlessly create paintings for this annoying child? And I mean, there's really only one answer: money. With enough money, you can convince anyone to do anything, even paint for this horrible child. So if you do a good job with your painting, you'll get a tip, and eventually, after a lot of painting, you'll become extremely wealthy. But there's a problem, because when I think of an artist, I think poor, starving, poverty. Usually I don't think that they have billions of dollars in the bank. So to give this game the immersive experience of being a struggling artist, I decided to give the player financial problems. Nothing too serious, you're just in debt for things like your fridge breaking down, breaking the Geneva Convention, killing a man. I'm sure these are all experiences that we've all been through. And now the game really makes you feel like a struggling artist. The only problem is that debt isn't really that fun. Right now the gameplay is just you endlessly trying to pay off your debt before you eventually go bankrupt. So I decided to give the player a goal of making $500. I made some changes to the message at the start of the game to reflect the goal, hopefully without ruining someone's really well thought out story. Anyway, if you can save up $500, you win the game and you can escape the stress of your everyday life. I also made your level a multiplier to the amount of money you get from tips, just to make it a little bit easier to reach your goal. And with that done, I think the game has a pretty good gameplay loop. I spent the rest of my time on the project trying to fix bugs and polish some of the mechanics. For example, you might have noticed that the undo button is no longer there. Okay, to be fair, it wasn't working when I got the project and I couldn't find any functionality for it in the code, so I'm guessing that the button was added, but it never actually worked. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how to fix this. So I had to make the tough decision and remove the button. It would be really embarrassing if it was working before and all I had to do was hit a toggle button or something. Anyway, I finished my work on the game by adding a pause menu and a main menu. No need to compliment me for this great UI design. I mean, it speaks for itself. And that's pretty much everything I did on the project. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and hopefully I didn't ruin anybody's ideas. That would be bad.
Alrighty, let's play. Please don't make anything too colorful. First of all, I love that they've kept the atmosphere, kept the style.
Yes, I was really hoping somebody was going to do a money thing where you get paid more for a painting that they like.
I was thinking it would be interesting to be able to use that money to buy future brushes or even expand your color palette. Maybe you have it be kind of limited at the beginning, but then you get access to more as you go.
Okay, we're giving tips. Ooh, okay, I like this new kind of formatting. Paint me a monkey. Nice little banana there, monkey.
Paint me a wine. Don't overdo it with the pigment. Okay. Paintings are persisting now. Give. Ooh, that was a big tip.
Thickest brush. Okay, so we gotta paint me a bear. This kind of looks like a bear. Oh, okay, I see it now. You just have to follow their instructions. That's fun. I like kind of what they added.
Something else fun that was taking the drawings that you have and being able to save them as PNGs. So hypothetically, there could be some interesting ways to take those and use them as textures in the game. I mean, I sort of did a little bit of it,
With
but
the
I
crowd,
think there's a lot more.
yeah.
Oh, the people all become... I didn't even notice that. All the people become my previous drawings? Okay, that's that's funny.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more potential there for texturing objects in the game or something like that. I don't know.
Give me something fast. Okay. Paint me a desert. Okay. Shoo, 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 shoo. Pow, pew, pow. Then let's just have a little cactus there. Bah.
Woo! The drawing is already really cool. I love how stylish you guys made it. The paintbrush, the strokes, the effects. Really impressive, really cool stuff. Ooh. Ooh. Oh.
Perhaps that the characters themselves, they have a story behind, and they not just want to draw their portrait, but perhaps want you to draw something specific to them, and then depending on what you give them, they give you a reward.
Oh, nice. Somebody added in like specific responses. I was hoping for that.
I love roguelike games, so this was almost going that route, and I could see it going that route where it's like an art roguelike. So if you like shorten the timer and then each person is essentially like an encounter, afterwards maybe you get to choose, like every time I use the color red or something, I get more tips. The next encounter, maybe you unlock a thicker brush or something like that.
This is really nice, guys. I would of course love to be able to explore this medieval Victorian town in the background, but I just so appreciate all the devs' work, what they did to expand on this concept. They actually turned this little painting game into an actual game that's pretty cool with cool characters.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's very charming, and I like that like all your drawings become the people just walking in the background.
Great job, really. As the first developer, so it's a pleasure to see this, really. Amazing stuff.
Good job, everyone. Good job.
Part 3 of the 100 devs make a game without communicating is coming up, guys. It's currently cooking, so make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that, as well as many other incredible game dev collaboration videos that are in the making. We are super excited, guys. Also, check out the free game making course if you also want to learn how to make video games. It's completely free, and the link is in the description. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned, and we'll see you really soon. Cheers.